Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session. Wish you all a very happy new year. Well, this session is definitely going to be an exciting one and very interesting. We have taken up subject English for our learners of class 6 and the topic that we are going to discuss is unlikely best friends. Well, who are these best friends and why they're so unlikely, and are they really best friends, and what's the reason behind this best of friendship? We will talk about it and discuss this in detail, but before that let me tell you, as the session is live and interactive, you can get in touch with us and you can speak to our expert, you can send us an email or you can also message us. The phone number is 8800440559. In case you want to write an email to us, we have an email ID which is tth.class6@ciet.nic.in. Since we are streaming live on our YouTube channel NCERT Official as well, you can go to the comment section, put in your questions there and get in touch with us instantly with your questions, your feedback and some suggestions as well. Now, who is going to tell us more about this amazing story or poem? I don't know yet. So I will ask the expert. So we're joined by Dr. Amit Ranjan. Sir, namaskar and welcome to the session.
Sure. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you so much. And sir is Assistant Professor of English from CIET NCERT New Delhi. Now sir, this is quite an unlikely topic. Unlikely best friends, because best friends are generally compatible, have a lot in common, similar interests, and here, like, what exactly we are going to talk about today?
So they are friends, of course, and so they are compatible and they have a great time. It is unlikely what we do not think as would be compatible. So many times in life, what we do not think happens, and we connect with people who we do not think we could connect with, and this is a story about that, to keep our minds open. So it's a friendship between an elephant called Gajraj and a dog called Bunty, and that is why it's unlikely, because an elephant is vegetarian and a dog is not.
Yes, absolutely.
An elephant has a
and
trunk.
One is so huge.
Exactly.
Another one is so small.
And one has a trunk, one doesn't have.
Yes.
So maybe students can make a chart and chart out the differences between an elephant and a dog. That would be a good exercise.
Of course. Yeah. And similarly, they can also find people who are not exactly like them, but they share a great bond with them. So do let us know. Just comment.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So let's go into the story. It's called Unlikely Friends. It's in your class 6 textbook called Purvi, and it's unit 2's first story. So this is from the Jataka tales, which are ancient Buddhist tales, where a lot of personification happens, which means that animals are given human attributes.
Okay, and how they differ from Panchatantra tales or Hitopdesh for that matter?
Only in the fact that these were written by Buddhist monks.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's roughly the same. All these tales contain ancient wisdom, and the animals that talk. And it also tells us about the harmony between man and animals and human beings and nature.
And these unlikely companions as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here are two characters we have, and they're looking very cute. Of course, we can watch them on screen as well. Here is the PPT. So this is Gajraj and that's Bunty.
Absolutely right. So Gajraj is an elephant who lives in the royal stables. Stable. So Gaj in Sanskrit means elephant, and Raj means king. So the king of elephants. King of elephants. Oh. That is why he lives in royal stables. So stable is means a shelter for big animals like horses and elephants.
Okay.
Whereas stable also means something else.
Okay, what's that?
You tell me.
I only know that it's the house name. It's the name of the house of a horse. That's all I know.
So somebody has a stable job, a stable career, something which is steady, which is solid,
balanced, solid. Of course.
So you should know both the meanings of the word stable. And there's a very nice poem called The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes, in which this word also appears. And dark in the dark, a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened. His face was white and peaked. I'll not get into that poem, but these are words for you to note down and write the meanings of. stable,
Yes.
which we just told, and
Yeah.
ostler, OSTLER.
Yeah. Okay.
And write to us what the meaning of
Yes.
ostler is.
Email or comment as early as possible. Okay.
Right, so he's a royal elephant, Gajraj, and he lives in the royal stable, and he has a very nice Mahavat who takes care. Mahavat is the caretaker of an elephant. It's a specific term because an elephant needs a lot of care, eats a lot of food,
Yes.
about 100 kg food every day.
Absolutely.
It's a big animal, so it has to be washed, taken care of, a lot of things. So the caretaker of an elephant is known as Mahavat, and there are many Mahavat elephant tales as well, because they share a very special bond.
Yes.
Also, you should know that elephants are very intelligent animals. They have a lot of empathy like human beings, so they're very loyal to their friends.
And there's one more thing. They have very sharp memory, and that's why they say you've got elephant's memory.
Yeah, so elephants never forget.
Never forget, yes.
They say. So an elephant lives up to about the age of 40 years, and they remember everything. So if you've been kind to them 20 years ago, they'll remember it and hug you. If you've been unkind to them, they'll show their displeasure,
remember
stay
it.
away. So Gajraj lived in the royal stable, and he had a very nice Mahavat, a caretaker.
Okay.
But a caretaker is not a friend. A caretaker is a caretaker.
Yes.
Right? Like your parents can be your friends, but they are not your friends. You need friends of your age who
Or
share
who understand your emotions.
Exactly. So Gajraj was very sad because he was alone in the stable. He did not have another elephant to play with, no other animals to play with or talk to. And then what happens is that a stray dog from somewhere, as stray dogs often wander here and there, Bunty wanders into the stable, and they're both lonely, so they both become friends.
Right.
They have a need for companionship. So we are also social beings. We need society, we need
Absolutely.
company, and animals also do. So it's not just a symbolic thing that it's being said over here, but that animals also need companionship, and they also have empathy and the need for society and so on.
And of course, man is a social animal only.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So are animals social animals. So the social is kind of redundant. All animals are
social animals, true.
They all need society.
Yes.
So they become friends, and which is unlikely because an elephant is likely to become friends with another elephant. You see packs of elephants and also packs of dogs in streets. They are friends with each other. But here it's unlikely friendship because they don't have company in their own species. They become friends with each other.
And look at the difference in their status. One is a royal elephant, another one
a
is
stray
a
dog.
wandering stray dog.
Much like the story of Krishna and
Lord
Sudama.
Krishna and Sudama, yes.
Krishna was the king and Sudama was a poor man, but
Yeah.
they were childhood friends.
Yeah.
And so when they met with as if time had not changed.
Yes.
Yeah. So what happens in this story is that Gajraj gets royal food, gets good food, whereas the dog is hungry because he's stray and has to depend on thrown away food. So Gajraj shares his food with Bunty, and Bunty is very happy having received that hospitality from his friend. So he is the guest, and as our tradition also says, Atithi Devo Bhava. So
Yes.
Gajraj treats
He was
Atithi
generous
as
towards his guest, yeah.
Absolutely. And then Bunty watches Gajraj bathe in the pond, and Gajraj sprays water over him. So they have a lot of fun
Yeah.
in the swimming pool. And then, of course, Gajraj is a big animal, so he gives a ride to Bunty on his back. So all things that friends do, eating
Yes.
together, playing together, having fun times
True.
together. It's a great time that both of them have. And Gajraj, who was until now, sad and lonely, probably he was taken out for royal processions, decorated and all that, but he was sad. Now he has a friend, so he's happy. As we all are when we have friends.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Now what happens? That
Twist in the story.
Twist in the story. A farmer finds Bunty, and in fact, it seems that Bunty is a lost dog, that his owner had lost him.
Runaway dog.
So so his owner takes him back home, and the Mahavat also does not mind because he thinks that Bunty will find a good house
Yeah.
at the farmer's
He'll be taken
place.
care of.
And he'd also be able to be a good guard to the farmer's property
Yes.
and all of that. But then what happens is that Gajraj and Bunty start missing each other
Oh.
because as we all do when our friend or somebody close goes away,
Yeah.
because they had spent such nice times together.
Memorable times, yes.
And elephants don't forget.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So do dogs not forget.
Yeah.
Dogs are one of the most
loyal and loving. They give you unconditional love.
which is why the phrase man's best friend,
Yes.
also a woman's best friend.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, not just healthy people, but also people who are specially able, they also get good companions in the form of dogs.
Yeah. It's said that for good mental health,
Yes.
one should have a pet.
For immunity as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, so what happened next?
And so they start missing each other, and both the farmer and the Mahavat, they are perplexed. Perplexed means confused,
Yeah.
puzzled, worried. And so Bunty then goes back to the stable to see Gajraj, and you can see in the picture how happy they are at their reunion.
Yeah.
Right. And so what happens during the interim when they are separated from each other? Gajraj stops eating, even though he gets very good food, royal food and all of that, he stops eating. And the dog also, Bunty, he also stops eating. So both are offered food, but they both stop eating because they were used to eating with each other.
And this shows that they also have emotions like human beings, though they cannot speak, but they do express in some way or the other.
Absolutely. So this is all, this is called non-verbal communication.
Yeah.
Verbal is when we are able to articulate through words, and non-verbal is which we also practice in a day-to-day life. Sometimes
Yeah.
we get angry and do not talk.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get upset and do not eat.
Yes.
And so on. And we also express happiness through certain gestures. Right, so both of them stop eating, and both the owners are caretakers are really perplexed. So when the reunion happens, and both these the dog and the elephant, they become very happy and start dancing. The Mahavat and the farmer also get happy because they were really worried, and it was no use having these animals
Yes.
when they are so sad and upset.
Oh, yes. I'm sure even their caretakers were really sad, seeing them like that.
Right. So now this is roughly the story. So read the story in your book. We told it in a quick abridged version, and also find out more stories from these tales from Jataka and Panchtantra. There's
Yes.
also a series of Amar Chitra Katha books which have many of these tales.
In fact, parents can bring such books, such colorful books are available to their children and make them develop a habit of reading, because these stories are not just interesting but very motivational as well.
Absolutely. So now let us look at some questions.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready? You've heard the
Absolutely,
story.
I'm ready.
Okay. So tell me, why was Gajraj sad?
Gajraj was sad because he had no friends. He was made to stay lonely or alone.
Right. So despite the fact that Gajraj was rich, he had all the
Luxuries in
luxuries
the
in
world.
love, and which tells us that money cannot buy happiness.
Oh,
Happiness comes from within.
Yes.
So do not be detracted by what your friends have, whether they have expensive tiffin boxes or if
Yeah.
they have phones or not. The happiness comes from within. And with friendships. So if you have real friendships in life, you will be happy.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Second question: how did Gajraj and Bunty become friends?
Well, Bunty was a stray dog and he happened to meet Gajraj in his stable, and that's how they connected and became friends.
Yeah, both of them were lonely, and both
Yeah.
of them needed friendship
Yes,
to give meaning to their life.
true.
All right. And then what happened when Bunty was taken away?
Well, both became sad actually. Gajraj stopped eating, Bunty stopped eating, and they were missing each other badly.
Right. And how does the story end?
Well, it ended, through their reunion basically. So they actually couldn't live without each other and ran back to each other.
Right. So what do we learn from all this?
That we all need companionship in life, friendship in life. We all need somebody with whom we can share our sorrows, our happiness, our stuff, be it materialistic, non-materialistic.
But what we learn even more is that this need and friendship are not always based on similarity.
Yes,
that somebody is similar to you, lives in a similar house, or has a similar status, or is in a similar school does not matter.
Of course.
Oftentimes you will find people from very different backgrounds who are able to connect. A young and an old person could be able to connect. A human being and an animal may be able to connect. So it depends on the level of shared interest and empathy.
Absolutely.
So empathy is a very important quality in life, that we should be sensitive to other people.
But not many people understand
animals.
what empathy is. They confuse it with sympathy. So why don't you tell us the basic difference between the two?
Sure. So sympathy is when you take pity on somebody's condition and try to do something for them. So you see a beggar, for example, you have sympathy, you give him some money. But empathy is fundamental. It's basic understanding, being sensitive to each other's needs, personalities,
Or putting
likes,
yourself
dislikes.
in somebody's shoes?
Yeah.
Putting-
And also to the problems that sometimes we do not think of others' problems as very big, because we see it only from our lens.
Absolutely.
Right? And so somebody's problems may be important to them. We do not think of them as that important. So it's important to be sensitive to how they feel and
standing by them in the times of need.
Exactly. So for friendship, empathy is very important. So we all should be empathetic towards each other, try to understand each other's feelings. And many times, children aside, and parents also dismissive of them.
Oh yes.
That this is nothing, and it'll be fine. Whereas they should try to get into their shoes, understand what problems they are facing in class, in school, what their learning difficulties may be, what their interaction difficulties may be, and and treat them as equals. And that's when this friendship develops. So it's also important for parents to understand how to develop friendship with children.
Of course, there's no difference. You both are equal in friendship, and that's what we saw in the case of Gajraj and Bunty.
Right. And so these kind of stories, there's a whole wealth of them. We have, of course, heard many of them, and even without telling the story, you can understand when I say the rabbit and the tortoise.
Oh yes, who won the race?
Right? And or the alligator and the monkey.
Oh yes, those I think sweet jamuns.
Yeah, sweet jamuns. So we know these stories already. We have heard them from our grandparents or read them in some comic book, or you cannot escape them.
Absolutely.
And there are many of these stories strewn across, and this is your homework to find out what stories exist in which culture. Here are some of them on your screen. One is Aesop's Fables, one of the oldest collections from the Greek civilization. So there's a lot of mythology in Greece also, which is very parallel with Ramayana and Mahabharata. There are many stories which are very common. So I'll tell you a few examples. For example, in Greek mythology, Achilles, the great warrior, his body is of iron, because his mother dipped him in the water, and his body becomes of iron, except his ankle, by which his foot was tied. So when he dies, it's a common archer who shoots him in his ankle, and so he dies. In Mahabharata, Krishna dies in a similar manner.
Yes.
He is shot by a common archer in the heel. Also in Mahabharata, Duryodhan has an iron body, courtesy of his mother looking at him, because she is a tapasvi who has been blindfolded for a long time, and so on.
And there's one thing that's common in all these stories. At the end, we always get moral of the story. So after going through the stories and reading them, enjoying them, we used to, also figure out what story is exactly going to teach us, and that's the traditional way of teaching children.
Like to use the word moral, but rather message, because moral is a misleading word. There's a message which has travelled across time.
Absolutely.
So as you can see on your screen, there's Aesop's Fables, which are Greek Jataka tales, from which this story of the elephant and the dog is there. The names have been adapted. and this is from ancient Buddhist wisdom. Buddhism came to India in about 500 BC.
Yeah.
Ashoka the Great, the emperor, was one of the main proponents. He sent missionaries to Sri Lanka. So there's Buddhism in Sri Lanka, and then it spread to Southeast Asia. There are beautiful temples. Then to China and Japan.
Yes.
So unfortunately, there's very less Buddhism in our country, but still there's a lot of heritage. We
Yes.
have all the ancient wisdom from them.
And so
That is
now we're left with very little time.
Okay.
So can we quickly do the exercises?
oh sure.
Yeah.
Vocabulary very quickly. A Mahavat, as we saw, is an elephant trainer and the caretaker. Straying is wandering from home, therefore stray dog. Wince is to make sudden involuntary movements. Indigestion is discomfort in the stomach. Stable, as we've seen multiple times over this, the place where horses and elephants are kept. And reunited is the opposite of, means it's united is when you are separated, then you are reunited. So brought together again. So these we have already seen. There's
Yeah.
also something to look out for is a real life friendship between an elephant and a dog, Tara and Bella. Google it and find about this story.
Okay.
All right. So there's these two exercises in your own textbook from where we have taken it. And so this is antonyms. Antonyms are the opposite words. All these words are from your chapter.
Okay.
So let us see. Across is when you look at it horizontally. So number 3 is unkind, and if you can look at the paper on which I'll write the answers.
Yes.
So unkind, the opposite of it at number 3, what do you
So it's kind.
think? K-I-N-D.
Yes.
Right. Kind, the opposite of kind is unkind, the opposite of unkind is kind.
And you know, I think you can solve one or two, and rest we can give them as homework.
Sure, sure. So let's do a couple more.
Yes.
Okay. So number 7, yelped. Yelped is shrieked.
Okay. So
And
it can be laughed.
Can be laughed. L-A-U-G-H-E-D. Let's do a couple of downs.
Okay.
Number 1, started.
Finished.
F-I-N-I-S-H-E-D. And let's do number 5, untouched.
Touched.
Touched. So you can see that these crosswords appear in newspapers. They are more difficult than this, but
Yeah.
you should try them out.
Absolutely.
And do we have time?
Just one more minute, and I think then we can quickly wrap it up.
Okay. So we also have fill in the blanks using these words.
Okay.
Let's try. My pencil was
Missing.
missing. Okay.
And you know, we're taking the cues from this crossword puzzle
From
that we have solved.
The same words from
Yeah.
the crossword puzzle. So I can keep that by the side maybe. Or you can look up your textbook and
Of course,
find.
because we can do one or two for them, and rest is their homework.
Yeah, I was very, as it was a gift from my friend. So what was I, if my friend gifted me,
Yeah.
what if, and I
It was
lost
very
it?
sad. You get sad and disheartened, heartbroken, disappointed.
Yeah,
Lot of words.
Right. I
But for the
woke
moment
up
it's sad.
my elder brother who was
Asleep on the bed.
asleep on the bed.
Because we had the word awake, so we have chosen this antonym here. And sir, I think
We have
now-
run out of time.
Yes,
So
time is not
students
permitting
can
us.
do these exercises on their own at home, and there are very nice exercises at the end for grammar activities. And some other day we can exclusively do these grammar activities as well.
course.
But for now,
We have to close the session, and
Yeah.
before that, let me thank you so much.
thank you so much.
For your contribution to the session. It was always wonderful, and I learned a lot. I am sure that you also learned a lot as well. Now, before I actually, quit and leave the studio, it's time for me to tell you about the important thing. Yes, it's an announcement. It's an upcoming competition, All India Children's Educational E-Content Competition. Yes, it is back, and 15th of January 2025 is the last day for submitting your entries. For more details, you can go to our website, which is of course CIT's website, or you can also scan the QR code, and we wish you luck. We are waiting for your entries. And after this important announcement, now it's time for us to take a quick look at the schedule, what's all coming ahead. So we are through with so many sessions, and they are uploaded on our YouTube channel, NCERT Official. In a short while from now, you can watch our session. The details are there in front of you. It's a session, and after that 4 to 5 p.m. is the time for our online program, online training program, and this time we're talking about cyber hygiene. 5 p.m. is the time for the session Sahyog. With this, it's a wrap. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you. I will join you very soon. You stay tuned. Namaskar.